You're listening to the Packernet Podcast Network.
The NFL season is finally here, so make sure you're ready with NFL Sunday Ticket and YouTube TV. It gives you the most live NFL games all in one place, exactly what you need to make your Sundays more magical. Sign up today at youtube.com/Sunday Ticket. Local and national games on YouTube TV. NFL Sunday Ticket for out-of-market games excludes digital-only games.
My dad works in B2B marketing. He came by my school for career day and said he was a big ROAS man. Then he told everyone how much he loved calculating his return on ad spend. My friends still laugh at me to this day.
Not everyone gets B2B, but with LinkedIn, you'll be able to reach people who do. Get a $100 credit on your next ad campaign. Go to linkedin.com/results to claim your credit. That's linkedin.com/results. Terms and conditions apply. LinkedIn, the place to be, to be.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome once again to the Packernet Podcast. I am your host and resident panelist, as always, Ryan Schlip. Check us out online, packernet.com. Find me on Twitter, pack_data. Well, let's get started with the big news of the day, and there may be more updated news. I'm getting started at around 3 o'clock. This is the latest that I have seen via Ian Rappaport. We can call it good news, we can call it bad news, depending on how optimistic or pessimistic you were being yesterday. Packers quarterback Jordan Love, who went down with a lower leg injury late in his team's loss to the Eagles in Brazil, had tests on his knee today that revealed an MCL sprain, sources said. No ACL damage. Now, Ian is the only one that used the word sprain, which is a big deal. Everybody else is just going out saying, oh, it's an MCL, it's an MCL. Like, what? Like, what's wrong? Ian said MCL sprain. Now, there's still gradients to that, right? Nothing tore, ACL's okay, ankle's okay, not high ankle, all this stuff, right? There's a lot of optimism, and that's good. I think there's no reason not to be optimistic until you find out otherwise, so I understand it. But let's take a look real quick. I've been lately posting a lot of this stuff. I call it DocGPT, because essentially I don't know what all these things mean, and so I go over to AI and ask it what it means. So let's go through some of this stuff. There's essentially, because it is a strain, there's a couple things. There's 3 grades, grade 1, 2, and 3. There's a mild sprain, moderate sprain, severe sprain. Let's start from worst first, because why not? Symptoms: complete tear of the MCL. Now, again, I don't think that's it, right? But it says severe sprain, whatever. Let's just go through it. Causing significant pain, swelling, and instability. Recovery time is usually 6 to 8 weeks, but it could be longer. Listen, they were in a tough spot. They're in another country. I don't know exactly what the protocols are and everything else, but my thought process, and I may be way off on this, if we're talking something this severe, where there is a significant pain, swelling, and instability, maybe they don't have a brace to put on them. I don't know. But a lot of people have pointed out how, there's video of him walking around the sideline. There's video of him walking down the plane by himself. He looks to be walking a little gingerly, but that's it. I feel as though the team would be taking further precautions if he had. So let me tell you this for an example. Talking to my half Mexican attorney, he was kind of going through, obviously doing a lot of deep dive stuff, looking into some of this. One of the things that'll happen when you have, for example, a tear or severe thing, whatever, is when you don't have that stability anymore, right? And your leg is not able to sustain itself. First of all, I tore my ACL. I re-injured my knee 500,000 times. I never went to rehab. I never got it surgically repaired, nothing. Complete tear. I just left it. The problem is when you don't have stability, your knee just goes pop, pop. Similar to what happened to Jordan Love. My knee did that once a week when I was in college for a long time. It would just do that. I would drop to the ground. My knee would swell up this big. I couldn't walk for a week. I feel as though if he is not stable, and if he is able to re-injure his knee, I'm talking like just walking and all this stuff, it's hard to imagine they'd just be like, whatever, let him walk on it. It's fine. And maybe he did have a brace on. Maybe he had something on. You just couldn't see it under like the sweatpants or whatever that he had on. Just when I see significant pain, swelling, and instability, that doesn't seem to fit the fact that it's like, yeah, he's hurting, but he'll be all right. Just give him some freaking Tylenol. Grade 2, moderate sprain, partial tear of the MCL, moderate pain and swelling with some instability, generally 3 to 6 weeks. Now we're kind of getting into the, like, well, maybe, right? So there's a little bit of pain, there's some swelling, and, maybe a little bit of instability, but it'll be okay. This is kind of getting into that range where if it's 3 weeks, that's manageable. If it's 6, okay, but that really sucks. Because I'm assuming this is a lot of losses. Same with 6 to 8, by the way. We didn't get things going until about week 9, but we still won quite a few games in that period of things don't look great. I don't know if that's going to happen. But here's the more positive one here, which is a mild sprain. Slight stretching, or maybe a minor tear of the ligament. Mild tenderness and discomfort, but the knee remains stable. Now, the good thing I like about this is, and again, I don't know, if there's concerns about stability, I would expect more assistance for Jordan. If there's no real concerns about the stability aspect of it, and it's mostly a pain management and swelling management thing, we're in this mild sprain range. It's not really so much a tear as it is a stretching, which leads to pain, discomfort, swelling, etc. But beyond that, that's really all we're dealing with here. Recovery timetable is typically 1 to 3 weeks. Treatment is rest, ice, compression, elevation, RICE, and possibly wearing a brace. Physical therapy to restore strength and range of motion. Return to play with proper rehab. Jordan could potentially return to the field in a few weeks. Now, there have been other examples. I saw Boss. I tried to look into this a little bit, but we'll do that in a little bit later once we get more details on how serious it is. But he had pointed out a couple of guys that, maybe missed a week, maybe even less. It's just a matter of it got stretched. It was a strain, but it's just a pain management thing. And if that is the case, I'm just saying it may be it might be 1 to 3 weeks. I'm not speaking as a doctor here, but I'm just thinking through this. If we are talking about tenderness, discomfort, swelling, maybe a little bit, whatever. But it's not necessarily a risk of re-injury. It's possible we could see the guy wearing a brace in a couple weeks on his knee and just riding with it. Yes, it hurts. Yes, it's not comfortable. No, he's probably not going to be taken off and running. There may be some issues with planting this, that, or the other. I'm the most positive. Listen, for all I know, he could be playing this upcoming week. I don't know. Last night, I thought he was done with an ACL tear. I'm kind of done guessing. I'm just trying to go through the information as I see it here and leaving all options open. It is funny, too. One of the things I was thinking about, part of the curse of being a Green Bay Packers quarterback, Jordan, I'm sorry to tell you this, it comes with a lot of great things. You have greatness. You have you get one Super Bowl, lots of playoff wins. You're worshipped in the state of Wisconsin and among Packer fans. One of the downsides, though, is you're going to have to play through some serious injuries. We had the Iron Man himself, Brett Favre, and although Aaron Rodgers wasn't exactly up to the Iron Man standards, that dude played through some serious stuff. He went down with a serious knee injury, came back in the second half, stoned out of his mind, and beat the Chicago Bears. Dudes, these guys have played with broken bones and strains and all kinds of stuff. I'm just saying, Jordan, you may be expected to, live up to that standard. I'm just saying. No, in all seriousness, there is reason to believe that this could be a short-term turnaround thing. Now, that still, of course, means, we've got an upcoming schedule. We've got some games that you kind of were hoping to be able to win that maybe you're not looking at winning. And then when Jordan comes back, you start to get into the tougher stretch, Houston Texans, et cetera, whatever. We don't need to get into doom and gloom period now. We're just kind of taking it a step at a time. As far as I'm concerned, this is good news. Again, it sounds like worst case scenario is 8 weeks. It's a half a season. If we can squeeze out a couple wins out of this, and get the defense right, get some of these guys right. Who's to say? We'll see how it goes. We got a lot of football to play. Like I said before, too, I spent a lot of time counting out the Green Bay Packers the last 2 years. You get to halfway through the season, they're 95% eliminated from the playoffs, and it's like, all right, I'm done. I'm moving on, and boom, that's immediately when things kick on and everything's great. So I'm done counting out the Packers and moving on to the draft until they're officially eliminated. Then there is long-term considerations. There is risk of re-injury even after recovery. Jordan will need to be cautious. The ligament will be more susceptible to future injuries, especially if he returns to play too soon. So that's kind of the concern. But again, I feel like a brace is, you're not depending on the ligament to support the knee anymore. You're depending on the brace. Knee stability, the strength and stability of the knee will be closely monitored. In some cases, athletes need to adjust their playing style to reduce strain on the knee. Ongoing physical therapy will be crucial to prevent complications and ensure full recovery. Strengthening the surrounding muscles, particularly the quadriceps and hamstrings, will be essential. If Jordan follows his rehab plan and doesn't rush back too quickly, he should recover fully and return to his previous level of performance. The key is to balance the desire to return with the need to heal fully to avoid long-term issues. So this is basically brand new information to me. So as far as I know, I'm going to go look at this, and there's going to be a whole bunch of updates. But that's all I've got on Jordan as of this exact second. And sure enough, just when I ended that clip there, Tom Pelissero, Packers quarterback Jordan Love's initial timetable for return is in the 3 to 6 week range per sources. Some early optimism he could return sooner than that, pending a second opinion. So what does that mean? That's right in that second range. It's a mild, or not mild, mid, whatever the mid one was, I don't remember. Partial tear kind of range, I guess. Not the best, not the worst news. It's right in there. Packers are not eliminated. And he pointed out, the next 3 opponents. So we assume he's out for 3 weeks, according to this. Second opinion, but I don't know if I've ever seen them get a second opinion and it changes drastically. They always do a second opinion, it never changes. Next 3 opponents, Colts, Titans, Vikings. You can look at that as positive or you can look at that as a negative. On one hand, you could look at it and say, these are the easy games we're supposed to win. We would win with Jordan. We probably will not win, or it's certainly iffy with Malik Willis. The positive side, though, is if Jordan has to be out, you want at least a fighting chance to win, and these are some teams that give you a fighting chance. Now, we'll see. I don't know how good the Colts, Titans, and Vikings are going to be. I have serious reservations about all 3 teams. We have not seen the Colts quarterback play good football. We didn't see him hardly play football. But he didn't seem great when he was last out there. Titans, same thing. They got a young quarterback. Maybe he takes a huge jump. Maybe this is a revamped team. I don't know, but reason to believe they're not super great. And then the Vikings, same thing. Presumably not going to be a very good team, but who knows? Maybe the Sam Darnold thing is going to be, he's a moderate player, good play caller, great wide receiver. Defense can figure it out. I don't know, but I think the Packers have a fighting chance over the next 3 weeks. Beyond that, we'll see. Hopefully he comes back sooner rather than later. We got to see what the Packers decide to do at quarterback. We'll see if they put Jordan on IR, are they going to go out and try to get another quarterback? If they get another quarterback, is that going to be a quarterback to replace Malik Willis? Because Malik was meant to be more of a stopgap. He was more of a developmental guy. Like, if he goes out for a quarter, if he goes out for a play, if it's maybe a game, fine, but we want him to be a developmental guy. We were not planning on him being out here for 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks. We'll see. Lots more to figure out, but that's all I know as of right now. Kick off the 2024 football season with Prize Picks, America's #1 daily fantasy sports app. It's the easiest way to play. Just pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections and watch your winnings roll in. This September, get automatic win every week by picking Caleb Williams to get just 1 passing yard. That's right, 4 weeks of free wins, but only if you jump on it before September ends. And don't forget, you can win up to 100 times your money with as little as 4 correct picks. Prize Picks even has injury insurance, so if your player leaves the game early, you're still in the game. I've been loving Prize Picks, my go-to for simple, fast, and fun fantasy action. When my picks hit, I get paid in as little as 15 minutes. Download Prize Picks now and use code PackDaddy to get $50 instantly when you play $5. That's code PackDaddy for $50 guaranteed. Prize Picks, run your game. Remember, Prize Picks is a skill-based fantasy game, making your lineups just got a whole lot more exciting.
When it comes to towing, seeing is believing. That's why Chevy Truck's advanced camera technology offers up to 8 available cameras for 14 unique views, so you can focus on the view that really matters. Chevrolet, together let's drive. Learn more about Chevy Trucks at Chevy.com. Safety or driver assistance features are no substitute for the driver's responsibility to operate the vehicle in a safe manner. Read the vehicle owner's manual for important feature limitations and information.
All right, guys, here's what we're going to have to do, unfortunately. We're going to have to cut this a little bit short. I've had 2 technical difficulties in a row, and I am beyond frustrated. It was about an hour ago when I started recording this part right here, and I had the one time I went back and listened, it sounded like a robot, so I had to delete it all, start over, and the other time my mic just was not on at all. So anyways, here's what I'm going to do. Because PFF just did not, let's see if they're actually up now. Not that it would really change anything or matter, but no, they still don't have the grades, interestingly. But anyways, I had forgotten that there were football games on tomorrow, so we should probably talk about that. I went through several of them as far as betting and whatnot is concerned. Whatever I remember, I will divulge to you, but I figure we'll just mention what's going on tomorrow. If you're interested in more of the betting side, follow me on Twitter, Pack_Daddy. I'll try to throw a couple things up there maybe, but I'm not going to have time to go through it all today. All right, so we got Patriots-Bengals. The Patriots are a bad football team. That's not surprising. The Bengals are expected to win. They're 8-point favorites. Not a very interesting game for the matchup. I mean, as far as the Packer fans are concerned. I am going to choose the Packers or the Patriots to cover the spread. Not going to talk about why. I just am. Falcons and Steelers, that one's a little bit more interesting. As I've mentioned before, number one, Falcons are an NFC team. They're probably playoff-ish type of team. So that's a team that we're competing with, so that does matter. It's also a potential Justin Fields, Kirk Cousins game, which is funny. Falcons are 3.5-point favorites. Having nothing to do with the data, I do just expect them to win. Pittsburgh has been a pretty bad Week 1 team. That being said, there's some arguments to be made about the Steelers covering the spread. Up to you, whatever you want to do. Arizona Cardinals, Buffalo Bills. I am interested to see what the Cardinals can be. They are another NFC potential playoff team. We'll have to see how that goes. Buffalo is 6.5-point favorites. I'm also interested by Buffalo, by the way. Remember, they didn't explode until they went and got Stephon Diggs, who is now this year a Texan. So I'm interested to see how much that's going to hurt the offense overall. 6.5 feels a little bit rich for my blood just based on that fact alone, at least until I can see what the Cardinals are and what the Buffalo Bills are. Plus, it's week 1. Plus, it's football and weird stuff happens. It's just a little iffy for me. Colts, Texans, very, very not interesting unless you want to just kind of scout both teams. We will be playing both teams. I was kind of surprised to see that the Texans are just 3-point favorites in this game. Maybe because it's a divisional game. Maybe there's a lot more hype for the Colts. There does seem to be a lot of thought that Anthony Richardson is just a good quarterback. We just didn't really get a chance to see it because he got hurt. I prefer to actually see it first before I declare it, but who knows. But that is interesting to me. I'm not planning on betting the Texans. It's funny when you look at the actual data, the statistics on it, all the different things. How do these teams do week 1? How do the Texans do when they're roughly 3-point favorites? How do the Colts do when they're roughly 3-point underdogs? In both cases, I would love to bet against both teams, but I can't. They both like to fail in these situations tremendously, like really low percentages. So it's two teams that generally are not very good in these spots, and somebody's going to have to win the game. So another one I just have no interest in touching. Miami Dolphins, Jacksonville Jaguars. Miami are 3-point favorites. Not super interested in this really in any way other than, Miami can be kind of an exciting team. Otherwise, completely disinterested. Then we have the Minnesota Vikings, New York Giants. That's obviously a pretty massive game with the Packers being in the situation that they're in. We need as much help as we can get. I doubt we need help with the Vikings, although I would certainly hate to be last in the division, if it came down to that. So a loss by the Vikings would be fantastic, although the Giants, as I've said, may be one of the worst teams in football. Not surprised the Vikings are favorites. There's more to like, which is weird to say. It's like, how is Sam Darnold the favorite over the Giants? It's like, well, that makes sense, actually. It's actually kind of terrible that it's only 1.5-point favorites to show really how bad the Vikings are expected to be. But it'll be fun to watch that game, and hopefully good things will happen. Carolina Panthers, New Orleans Saints. Again, Saints are maybe a playoff team. I'm guessing probably not. Of all the teams I've said that are maybe playoff teams, this is one I probably have the least amount of faith in, but they could be. 4-point favorites against the Panthers because the Panthers suck, so I don't really expect anything crazy to happen. We'll see if Bryce Young could possibly take a step. Everyone's kind of ruled that out. I will admit it's unlikely, but, let's give him a shot. Who knows? Things happen. Then you got Tennessee Titans, Chicago Bears. Bears are 4-point favorites. I'm not super shocked by that, and it's not just because I think it's overhyped garbage. I mean, it does make sense. I mean, there's at least potential that the Chicago Bears have a really good quarterback. That potential is much lower with Tennessee. It's possible. Again, you got a guy that played bad, but that doesn't mean he can't take a step. Let's just see what happens. But there's less reason to believe that the Chicago Bears quarterback won't. There's also better situations, I don't want to say across the board, but in a lot of other areas. I believe it's in Chicago as well, which doesn't help Tennessee. But another game that obviously has massive implications. Desperately want Tennessee Titans to win that, especially since, unlike Minnesota, Chicago does seem more like a team that we're going to be more in competition with. Having lost week 1, likely losing most of our upcoming games. I know I don't mean to be negative. I'm just saying that's probably what's going to happen. We'll have to see. Chicago certainly could be, even if they're not an elite team, it's not going to, you don't have to be. You know what I mean? If Detroit wins the division and Chicago is a playoff-ish team, close to, that's going to be, be nice if they lost to Tennessee. Let's leave it at that. Denver and Seattle, not too many things I could care less about. Again, Seattle possibly one of those wild card teams, so you're rooting for Denver. But Seattle are 6-point favorites. Not a whole lot of reason to believe it's going to go any other way. Maybe Denver's just, I don't know. They're mad at Seattle for getting fleeced, and so they try to do something about it. But they're Denver, so that probably won't happen. Raiders, Chargers, not interesting. 2 AFC teams, not very interesting teams. If you're super into watching Devontae play, I guess there's that. Chargers don't even have wide receivers anymore. It's got to be the most garbage game of all time. Dallas Cowboys, Cleveland Browns. I am actually quite interested in that. I'll be interested to see if the Dallas Cowboys do continue to decline. I'm actually kind of shocked. The Cleveland Browns are 2-point favorites. I'm clearly out of the loop here, but it's like you got a playoff team with a guy that was one of the best quarterbacks in football last year, and CeeDee Lamb, who just got paid, and a defense that was actually quite dominant. I understand that they lost some coaches, but Cleveland doesn't have a quarterback last I checked, so whatever. Not mad about it. If Dallas falls to 0-1, that would be a fantastic thing. We will see. Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Washington Commanders. Two teams that are probably not going to be a big problem, but we'll have to see. It'll be interesting to see how the rookie quarterback does. I believe he's going to be starting. Other than that, it's just kind of one of them has to lose, which I guess is a good thing in case they end up being kind of a threat. And then the last game on Sunday, but we might as well talk about Monday because I'll probably forget. The last game on Sunday, Detroit Lions and LA Rams. Obviously a huge game. I don't want to say it's less of a huge game. It felt like more of a game when I thought we were in a race for the top seed. Now I feel like we're in a race for number 2 and hopefully in the playoffs. Again, I don't mean to be pessimistic, but it's just that part of me is less concerned with this game. But still, it's the Lions. We need the Lions to lose. So I guess go Rams. The Lions are only 4-point favorites. I was trying to fight that sneeze off so bad, man. I was like, we can do this. We can get through this without sneezing. I'm sorry. Only 4-point favorites at home. So with all the hype built around Detroit being one of the top teams, I know there is a decent amount of hype for the Rams, but and 4 points, I guess, is kind of sizable, but not really. I guess it should be a good game, and I hope it's a good game. That or I hope the Lions get stomped out, and it's a really boring game, because I will watch every second of that game. That'd be great. And then on Monday, the Jets 49ers. I'm guessing we're all pretty much on the same page here. Could be wrong, though. Jets, we need to beat the 49ers. The 49ers are trash. I hate them. And them starting 0-1 would just complete my life. So, anyways, again, I had more intention of being a little bit more thorough than that, but I'm not doing this a third time. And I got to get going to bed. It is 8:30. The kids have been screaming nonstop. My wife, I'm sure, is ripping her hair out, so I got to get out of here. You guys have a good rest of your day. Hope it's a stressless NFL Sunday. Have a good one. Bye-bye.
Hey, I'm Ryan Reynolds. At Mint Mobile, we like to do the opposite of what Big Wireless does. They charge you a lot, we charge you a little. So naturally, when they announced they'd be raising their prices due to inflation, we decided to deflate our prices due to not hating you. That's right. We're cutting the price of Mint Unlimited from $30 a month to just $15 a month. Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
$45 upfront payment equivalent to $15 per month. New customers on first 3-month plan only. Taxes and fees extra. Speed slower above 40 gigabytes. See details.